In 1995, the South Fork had over 5,000 elk. Now, some counts are below 300. They say there's 170,000 elk in Montana. But if you've ever hunted or tried to view elk in the Bob Marshall Wilderness lately, you would wonder, where are they? So I'm starting a 500-mile truck camper journey to discover where the 170,000 really are. My theory is we're having so few babies survive in the mountain public regions due to an overflowing basket full of predators, and lots of babies surviving on private land, which is why we're seeing a population shift of elk. To test my theory in real life, we're going to first go to the Sun River Game Range on the front of the Bob Marshall Wilderness, and we're going to count how many babies per 100 elk we can find. Then we're going to drive out to the Missouri River Breaks, where there's a lot more private land, and we're going to count elk there and see what we can determine from that case study. And then we'll discuss what that means for the future of hunting and our wild lands all across the West, and how that case study will apply to Colorado, Washington, California, Oregon, all these states that are right now filling their baskets of predators. This video is sponsored today by Gary Pillow, who says, "Thank you for bringing the mismanagement we have all known about to light. Glad to help with your endeavor. Also, enjoy watching the content of your videos. Thanks." And also by Ralph E. Meadows, the number 2 ranked spot, and he says, "Helping from the free state of Florida." In the number 3 spot, John Hoffman, who says, "Exceptional work." Thank you guys. And now anyone can sponsor one of my videos. Go to trinityvandenaker.com, click on sponsor now, enter your information. If you're a business, fill out your business name and what you want me to say. Top 5 people get a shout out like this in the video. The rest will be posted in the credits. Thanks, guys. So it's just breaking dawn right now, and we're up by Bean Lake, which is just west of Augusta. Now this is where a lot of the elk that come out of the Bob Marshall are going to winter. This is an expensive glove. I was working some horses the other day, and look at one of them pulled it out of my pocket and was just chewing on it. It's at least dried out now. It was full. It was just sopping wet with saliva. Well, we're at the Sun River Game Range right here. There's some elk right out, way out, I mean, a couple of miles that way. They're up in those trees, but they're too far away for me to count the calf. Oh, that might be some right there. Let me see if I can count those. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cows, 19 cows, 5 calves. So we have, in this group, we have 19 cows and 5 calves. There's only 1 calf in this whole back group here. It's a little over 20%, right? One thing that the Fish and Game has always said is 20 to 25 calves per 100 cows will sustain a population of elk. The problem with that is that doesn't take into consideration predators and human hunting. So you have on public ground where you have hunting and a full basket of predators, 20 to 25 calves is not going to replace the number of adult elk that are killed in a year. From birth to about a month, these elk calves are laying on the ground somewhere. They're hiding, just like deer. And in that time, the grizzly bears wreak havoc on the things. And 2 months to 6 months or 8 months, when those calves are then up like these, they're up and they're with the herd, but they're very visible. That's when the wolves really take out the calves. Then you lose some to mountain lions. With this trifecta of predators in abundance, it's very hard for the elk calves to survive. I found this other there, and I counted them. They're kind of in a spot where I can kind of count them, even though they're a long ways away, because they're up against the grass. And as far as I can tell, there's 43 cows and 11 calves. So that comes out to 26%. So both the groups that I counted right on here, at this point in the winter, February 1st or so, these elk around here are about 26%. I've been looking for some mule deer because we focus on elk a lot for these studies and identifying problems with predators, but one of the canaries in the coal mine, if you will, one of the animals that gets overlooked a lot is the mule deer. And the mule deer live in the same area in the backcountry as the elk do. So when we look at elk populations and we forget about deer populations, it's just one of those next species that we have to pay attention to. Now, I was able to find a total of 5. Since I found those elk, I've been looking for mule deer. I've only found 5. I will give you this. This is a really bad situation to find mule deer. Because this is an open winter, a lot of them will stay back a little bit further, and the wind is blowing about 50 miles. But I'm gonna have a quick bite of lunch, and then we're gonna head out to the plains of Montana and attempt to find some elk on some private land out there and see if the calf crop out there has survived better than the calf crop near the mountains. And the first thing you need, obviously, is always butter, right? And right now we have a situation in Montana where our mule deer populations are dismal, especially in the mountain regions. And the fawn recruitment, the number of fawns that is surviving is 20% or less in a lot of western areas. So we have a situation kind of like the elk, but they're often overlooked as mule deer. Mule deer are not really seen in the same light as elk or studied in the same light as elk. Mule deer are definitely my favorite species. I love to see mule deer. And it's been a long time since I have actually hunted down and killed a mule deer because their numbers are so low and it's hard to find mature bucks. You got to understand that, like mountain lions and wolves, those two species especially, they will take down the bigger bucks. The bigger bucks are the ones who stand there a little bit longer because they're kind of feeling they're a little bit tough. So they often get killed. And this is evidenced by a friend of mine found a deer that he had been watching this last year. And he's like, he needs another year, you know. He would be really magnificent in one more year. And then this winter, he hiked up to where that buck was living and found him dead and eaten. This is not sourdough, but this is bread that my wife makes alongside her sourdough. She makes sourdough bread from home, and then she makes this, which is from the discard of the sourdough. So we're just going to stick it in here and toast this one side of it. I think it's really going to be interesting to go out to the Musselshell River because that is away from the major predators. How many are there? And are they acting differently because they're removed from the major predator source? Turkey on there, and a piece of cheese, mayo on there. If you want a great sandwich, you just have to have some iceberg lettuce. But you can hear, I don't know if you can hear that wind howling outside. It's flapping this plastic over here. There we go. I'm going to add a little extra lettuce on there. So Lord, I just pray your blessing upon this food and upon this trip, that you would enlighten me and people watching, and then you would give us the wisdom to understand what we're seeing. Thank you so much for your wonderful creation and being able to see these incredible wildlife species all around us in this amazing landscape. In Jesus' name. What you guys think, but I mean, come on. Ow, that's hot. That, if I don't move it too much, that looks amazing. I gotta tell you, I'm a sucker for a good sandwich, or a sandwich anyway. I'm a kind of a sandwich guy. My wife doesn't understand it. When you got homemade bread, some lettuce, some mayo, turkey, and cheese on there, and then you toast the bread a little bit. We're headed to the mussel shell, so it'd be about 4 hours from here, I think. I find it interesting as I get away from the mountains more and more. I'm at a rest stop right now, and I've just been seeing herd after herd after herd, or these small groups of mule deer out on the stubble fields and the hillsides and the rim rocks, way more so than I did in the mountains. There is definitely more mule deer out here than there is up there. Okay, I am now I'm out by Winnett, Montana, so I'm definitely away from where the top tier predators live. This is super unique country. Love it. Totally different than we were in before. But you can see the banks of the creek here. Oh, there's a porcupine. Okay, I'm gonna try to pull off onto this little road here, but I got to make sure I'm not sinking in too bad. It's like I'm staying on top. We're gonna camp here for the night, and I'll look at my Onyx maps and see if I can find a way to get over to the river, or closer to the river. I think that's where these herds of elk are gonna winter, is right down on the hayfields on the mussel shell. We'll find out tomorrow morning. Boy, it's beautiful out here. See, some people don't like the plains, but man, there's something about them to me, as long as the wind isn't blowing, that is just awesome. I think before it gets pitch black, I'm gonna take a little walk up to the top of this hill. Take my gun with me just in case I see a coyote. But I see some cows over in that valley, but I don't see anything else. So I just heard a coyote. A couple of them out there. Definitely too far away, but if we get a chance tomorrow, we might come back here, set up my call, and then climb a hill or something. Crap. That is close. I just can't see him. I can't see him though. He's right there. So out here, they're the main predator. Coyotes are the main predator, them and bobcats. So I'm gonna try to leave them right there so I don't disturb them too much. Don't want them to know I'm out here hunting them. And when you get this many coyotes, you can really take out a large number of baby deer in a year. Well, I had to step out for a second, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty chilly, but it is so clear out there and so calm. Wish you could see it. When you get this far away from any light, so any city light of any kind, I mean, you're so far out in the boonies, it is, the sky just lights up with stars. It's absolutely incredible. My warm sleeping bag all ready to go. So, time to go to bed. I'm gonna watch Notting Hill while I hunker down in my nice warm sleeping bag. If you guys have a good night, I'll see you in the morning. Tired. Well, good morning. If you want to see something a little bit sad, my water's frozen. So, we're not going to have any coffee this morning until we get to the river, or a river, because that ain't going to work. But for this purpose, we want the eggs to be scrambled. We're going to make a breakfast burrito. So, this is how I scramble them. Just shake them up. Maybe two. We'll split this into two burritos. Right about yay much. Right there. See how that's all nice and scrambled now? Okay, there we go. Well, I'm just dump it on there. I can't get it out, so. I mean, I don't know how you can have too much butter, right? But. Alright, let's stick that in there. These low carb tortilla things are pretty small, so that is a small burrito. That looks like about the right amount of brown right there. Ow. Find some elk. Well, I could really use a cup of coffee, but I don't have one. And I don't have to worry about the mud this morning. It is all frozen. Wow, that about froze my hand off. And it is 17 degrees outside, so that's a little chilly. I'm gonna have to warm my fingers up so I can feel them again. I feel good about this. I think we're gonna find a big group of elk. The wind's not blowing. It's really cold. They're gonna be out standing in a hayfield somewhere. Beautiful country. One thing we're going to have to take into consideration is this road, if it gets up to about freezing and this starts thawing out, this sucker is going to be a mess. Unless it's dried out, but I don't know that it is. So I thought I would probably just stay back here for the day and then leave this evening, but that's going to be a bad idea. So you can see, to get out of here, somebody was chained up and they were just... This is the kind of dirt that turns into gumbo, what they call gumbo, which is really sticky and greasy. It can be a disaster when wet. So if it thaws out and there's still enough moisture in that ground to be greasy, then I might get stuck back here. Well, I probably wouldn't. I'd have to chain up, and you think this thing would be dirty. It's dirty now. You can see the river down there. Sadly, I do not see any elk down there. I'm gonna glass it a minute. The thing about this country is it just drops off. So here we're going up on the Muscle River again, and it's just straight down to the river. You got this little tiny wedge of land that you're driving on. Two horses standing like right on the top of a little hill there. I don't see any elk at all. Where are they? Well, I'm not sure what to do. So, this road, you do not want to be on this, obviously, when it gets wet. And there's a lot of people, a lot of ranchers that live back here. I think it's such interesting country. It's so remote, and when it gets wet, it's basically impassable. So I don't know what you do. I don't know how you get around in your yard and to feed cows. I would love to see that sometime. If somebody out here in this eastern Montana area wants to show me how they deal with this mud, I would be interested. But I can't find an elk. So I looked at the road though, and I can take a big loop back to the highway. And I think I'm going to do that just because it goes over to another drainage and comes down the drainage. Who knows, maybe there's some hay fields over there where they hang out. And it could be anywhere. I know where to look for them in the mountains, which is why I could find them. Out here, I mean, you got these huge canyons that you can't actually see into unless you're right on top of them. I mean, it's awesome country. I love it. And go to a gas station or something and find somebody and ask them. I finally found a group of mule deer. Now this is really sad because this country should be absolutely full of mule deer. And it isn't. So I'm trying to kind of like assess what the deal is. That herd of mule deer right there has 0 obvious fawns in it. Meaning there's nothing in there that's less than a year old that I can tell. Typically, fawns are smaller, but sometimes they're not like really a lot smaller than the mother, but they have a very short nose. That first year of their life, they got a really obvious, the short nose looks weird compared to their ears. Now out here, where there is no wolves and grizzly bears, the enemy here for these mule deer is coyotes. Coyotes kill the babies when they're real young, especially. Last night when I camped, there was a ton of coyotes. And it's not humans killing the babies, so. There is one baby in that group. Only one. Well, you can see the ground is just a mess. We're going to try to hunt a coyote. So, in my philosophy, which is completely uneducated about hunting predators, we're going to use the wind. So the wind is blowing that way. We're going to approach from where they can't really see us. So we're going to go over around this hill. I figure if you come from a place they can't see and sit up right on the other side of it, and then come back around, and we'll peek over. Try to find a place we can peek over without being silhouetted, and see if we can call them in. Gonna have to literally sit in the mud. The wind is swirling around. Terrible. Put it right here. We're gonna face it away from us. We're gonna put the call out there. Now the wind's blowing exactly wrong. It's always amazing how smart these things are. Wolves too. I mean, I know there's coyotes around here because there were so many last night. I'm in the exact same spot where they were. And I snuck in here pretty good too. But the wind's swirling a little bit, and I'm thinking maybe they got my scent. Alright. My theory is that I heard them over here last night. And maybe they were coming out of that creek bottom over there. Then I heard some back behind me. So there's another creek bottom back here. Maybe that's where they bed down at night, is in down in those creek bottoms. I don't know. We'll go see over here if we can call one out of there. Alright, so this has a chance. You can't really see me from anywhere. The wind's about right. So I'm looking over this bottom that connects right to the main creek there. So they have to pop over to get a look this thing. And I think I can see them pretty much all the way around if they try to get around me, so. I'm gonna have to decide if video is more important than shooting the animal. If I try to get video, I may not get a shot, most likely not. Dang. A coyote came right up behind me and got my wind and ran away. I saw him bouncing over the hill over there. Shoot. I've read they'll pop out and try to get behind you to see if there's any wind. They like to smell the rabbit and then come in on it. So he popped up here and must have seen me right there, or smelled me right there. Dang it. There's got to be a whole bunch of elk over here. I just can't get to them with the roads the way they are. There are so few deer out here. I thought there would be deer everywhere because there used to be, and there isn't. The fawn recruitment is awful out here. So where are the 170,000 elk? I don't know. About 1910, we had almost eliminated the elk from Montana. We had about 3,000 in the entire state, and now we're at 170,000. That is a massive increase and a success story that I love to see because I love wildlife. I personally would like to see them manage the wildlife in the same silo as the predator so that you keep a very small percentage of predators to a very large amount of wildlife, and then account for a percentage that we can take as humans, because that brings money into the system. That brings real economic growth into the system. Predators just take it out. Predators only cost us money. They don't bring in revenue, they just take it out. They burned a lot of that back in the old days. Is just soaking wet. I don't know how they would have ever started a fire with that. I mean, I think they liked the old stuff, the really old stuff, but how would you even get that to light when it's just sopping wet? I don't know if this is a good idea, but my hopes are up now. I just spotted 3 elk. One big bull elk, and 2 cows. It looks like a cow and a calf. So I might be getting into an actual area where we can see some elk. Daylight is going fast, so if we got to find more than that, we have 100% calf recruitment. Because there was a big bull elk and 1 cow and 1 calf. There's some more deer right there. Look at that. About 2 fawns in that whole group, looks like. I'm thinking coyotes are a problem. I'm going to keep rolling down this road that I found. I finally found a road that's not totally mudded in that I can't get to. Okay, that was my second herd of elk. It was actually, I think, another part of the same herd, but there was about 6 or so. The problem is most of those are bulls. Or at least half of them are bulls, so it's really hard to get a calf count. I need like a big group somewhere, and I haven't located a big group yet. But I mean, I was gonna leave. I was done. I was like, nope, I can't get anywhere on these roads. I can't find any elk. And then, lo and behold, I went down this road, and this is a good road, and I found some elk. Well, I'm trying to decide here whether it's worth staying overnight to try to find some more elk. I can't seem to find a big herd, but if I go back down and I stay the night somewhere down there and then run down to the river in the morning, I don't know that's going to give me enough time tomorrow, but I think I might have to do that. I just pulled off into the forest here. don't know if you can see the trees, but I'm in a pine forest up on the top of a ridge. I guess I'm going to stay here for tonight and then head out in the morning. I don't think I'm going to have anybody pass me tonight. There is literally nothing on this road. It goes all the way down to the river. It is in the boonies. There is nothing out here. Since we don't have any water to cook anything, to clean the pan out to cook anything, I did bring some leftover ribs, so fall apart. Look at that. Look at that. That's gonna hit the spot tonight. I'm gonna sit here and eat my ribs. My water is thawed out just a little bit, so I got that just for drinking water. It's 6 o'clock, so time to get up and get rolling. Kind of want to be headed down this road in about 45 minutes, I think. Yeah, I don't know what the temperature is, but it's not terribly cold this morning. I don't even think it's not frosty either. I am totally out of water. One thing I have to remember, and I know this, it's 27 degrees this morning, looks like. I know this too, but one thing you have to remember is that when you go to eastern Montana, there just isn't much water out here. The water that is around is not like we have where I live. It's all like in puddles. You know, the rivers are, there's a main river and then all the creeks are just like puddles. 27 isn't freezing, but it's still a little chilly if you stand out there too long without a coat. Well, there's one cow elk out there. It's really too dark to take any video yet, but how does that help? One cow elk. I can't see any other elk around her, so there's no bulls, there's no calves with her, nothing. Actually, that might be a calf. It might be a lone calf elk. That is literally what it is. There's a single calf elk. It's gonna be hard to count these things one at a time. I'm hoping for this group of like 50 or something, but I haven't found that yet. Oh man, it's frustrating. I just spotted the perfect group of elk. They're just like 3 miles that way over this. There's wide open area here, and then there's a little set of hills way over there, and they're on the side of those hills. Yeah, see, here's a road. Or no, this is the main road. It goes over this way. See how this is wide open? And I'm not seeing elk in the wide open. They're over on the timbered ridges, but they're not down lower. They're up this high because it kind of seems to rise as you get away from the highway. They're up about this altitude and over on those ridges. One thing that's odd is it is way colder down here. So where I camped last night was right on the very top of a ridge, and it was about 25 to 27 degrees this morning, and right here it's 15. Just spotted a bunch of elk flying by, but right there, there's not a bunch of elk, but there's a few. Let's see if I can get this on camera. And wouldn't you know it, all of them were bulls as well. Then I turned around and saw some more elk behind me. And lo and behold, another group of bulls. Okay, well, that was another herd. Another group of bulls. So far I've seen more bull elk than I have cow elk. Which, you know, normally that would be a fantastic thing. It's just not helping me out right now. A couple elk right there. So they're in really small bunches right here. So there's a cow and a couple calves. There's a cow and a calf. Cow and 2 calves? Must be 2 elk there. Anyway, yeah, there's, let's see, what is it? 2 cows and 2 calves. So far, I've seen over 100% calf recruitment in this area. Now, I haven't seen that many cows, but because I saw 1 calf without a cow, it makes it so that I've seen over 100% calf recruitment. Now, so my final conclusions are that there's 170,000 elk in Montana, but they're not distributed evenly. And as we speak, they're declining in mountainous public ground where the bucket of predators is full to overflowing. And they are increasing in places like this, where the population of top-tier predators is actually non-existent. When you have a high calf recruitment, you get more elk. If you have a low calf recruitment, you get less elk over time. It's just going to happen. And when you're managing the 2 buckets separately, you end up with a completely unbalanced ecosystem. Now, as far as the deer out here, the predators for the deer are obviously way higher because of the coyote population. And there's a group of deer right there. Just came out into the trees and bouncing up the hill. So I've seen several groups of deer, and the fawn success rate out here is pretty dismal, I think. What I feel we need to manage for is abundance. Abundance for human activity, for wildlife in general, instead of this obsession with predators. Places like Washington, Colorado, Northern California, and Oregon, take heed to what I've just shown you, because this is what you're looking at in 10 years. You have just added some massive predators to your ecosystem that are going to take a toll. Just look at the mountainous regions, the mountainous public regions where the basket of predators is overflowing, and take that as what you're going to get. Not the state population overall. A lot of the elk I've seen up here have been on private land, and people often contribute that to pressure. But the other thing I've noticed out here in the breaks is that a lot of the public land, especially the CM Russell, hasn't been grazed at all. So when you look at the private land, you have more access to water, you have better feed, and it's been grazed. And I know that a lot of hunters don't like to talk about that, and they think they see a grazed piece of ground and they think, oh man, this would be so much better if cattle weren't grazing it. But scientifically, that is not the case. We need to manage our public lands for abundance, and to do that, you have to make the resources that the animals need accessible to the animals, because otherwise the pressure will definitely push them on to where they already have better resources in the first place. I'm Trinity Vandenaker. Until next time, God bless. To join me in my mission of exposing the mismanagement and the financialization of our sacred lands, go to highlonesomesociety.com right now.